Ooh, welcome to episode 74 of Two Guys, One Sport. My name is Chris.
I'm George. Christopher, is it still really hot by you?
No, actually, it's been 4 straight days of rain and thunderstorms, and we're not even close to the hurricane.
I was about to say you're up north.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on, but it's raining season right now. The rains have decided to fall. They've blessed us.
I was about to say, instead of falling in Africa, they're falling in New Jersey.
Yep, bless the rains down in New Jersey. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So,
how is it by you, my good sir?
Not bad. It's one of the it's a great time of year. I leave my house. It's in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like low 60s, mid 60s. You know, jeans and a hoodie. And then I leave the office, and it's in the mid 70s because it's still daylight. So I change into my gym clothes, and sometimes I go to the gym, and sometimes I don't. But you know, can't complain. Life is good.
Very nice.
Let's do the show. Let's do the show note out of the way first.
Yes.
2 weeks from today, ladies and gents, you will not hear us. We both have, at the same time, we have different obligations we have to take care of.
Yes, indeed.
So we will be here next week, but we will not be here 2 weeks from today, the 27th.
Yes. 2 weeks from tonight, we will both be out of our respective states with different things going on. And that will be a no-show night for us. But thankfully, it doesn't seem like there's a whole heck of a lot going on that we would need to
we got lucky.
Anyway. So it should be fine.
We got lucky.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, exactly. So
good evening, Adam. Also, very nice to see
Adam.
you. Thank you for being in the chat. Everybody who is listening, always happy to hear from you guys. As you know,
listening, as always, give us the little thumbs up on YouTube.
And
give us the little subscribe if you haven't. Give us the 5 stars on iTunes if you haven't. You know.
And of course, feel free to chime in during the course of the show.
Absolutely.
As always.
Absolutely.
But we've got a pretty heavy show this week. We've got a lot to talk about, and you know, not the least of which is a preview of Hell in a Cell. We've got some women's wrestling stuff to talk about, and if we have time, if time permits, we're gonna get 2 week late recap, or I guess 1 week late recap of All In, since we would have recapped it last week, but we were doing the listener mailbag last week. So 1 week late recap of All In, and if we have time for it, a preview for Destruction in Hiroshima as well. So
sounds good.
Whatever we can fit into the show, we will. That, as always, starting off with our matches of the week, and I'm going to start this week.
By all means.
So this week was a tale of 2 women's wrestling shows for me in retrospect. I'm going to talk about one of them a little bit later on, but the first one I'm going to talk about was one that was really, really, really freaking good. And that was Stardom's show this past Sunday, September 9th at the Shinkaba First Ring. We are in the middle of the Stardom 5 Star Grand Prix, which is Stardom's equivalent of the G1. And it's been a really, really great tournament so far. We're going to cover the standings in just a little bit. But I want to talk about the main event from Sunday night's show, which is probably a main event that is a microcosm of a rivalry that will define Stardom for years to come. And that is Hazuki versus Momo Watanabe. Hazuki, if you may recall, for a little bit of backstory, used to be a member of Queen's Quest, the faction that was started by Io Shirai while she was still in Stardom. And Momo Watanabe also a member of Queen's Quest as well since its inception. But when the Stardom draft happened back in April, Hazuki was picked up not by Queen's Quest, but rather by Oedo Tai, the designated heel faction in Stardom. And Hazuki did not take kindly to this because she viewed it as a sign of disrespect by Io that Hazuki was not drafted first to Queen's Quest. And thus she basically decided it was time to take her anger out on all the rest of the faction. She challenged Io for a few matches before Io made her departure from the company. And now she has turned her attention to current Wonder of Stardom champion Momo Watanabe. Has already challenged for the Wonder of Stardom belt once and failed to obtain it, but is still in her quest for retribution against her former stable. So this match was kind of win and you're in the driver's seat match for whoever got the win here, because Hazuki and Momo were both holding the top spot in the Blue Stars block with 6 points apiece going into this match. And obviously they know each other very well and knew what to expect from each other and wanted to fight it out as much as possible to get that win and prove superiority. And right out the gate, match starts right out the gate. Hazuki just sprints across the ring, drop kicks Momo in the head, sends her out of the ring, and throws her into the chairs a bunch of times, and just is incredibly physical right out the gate. Let me tell you, at 20 years of age, Hazuki already has better heel mannerisms and characteristics than guys like Baron Corbin and Jinder Mahal, who have been working WWE shows in front of crowds 10 times what you see in a Stardom show. And Hazuki has already eclipsed them in terms of just being able to portray a stellar heel character. She is very good at making you hate her, but she also is very good at doing it with a smile and giving some charm to her attitude, much in the style of a guy like a Kevin Owens or Samoa Joe, who you watch them doing their thing, and you just, as much as you hate watching them fuck up your favorites, you still have so much appreciation for the fact that, oh yeah, this person is really good at fucking things up for the good guys. Really good at it. So Hazuki takes Momo out and sends her out in through the chairs, and just beating her mercilessly out in the crowd before she finally gets her back in the ring. And Momo starts her comeback, and oh my God, what a comeback it is. Some of these moves that Momo was hitting in the course of these exchanges were just the kind of things you would expect to see Io Shirai in her prime doing. And Io passed the baton to Momo in very austere fashion, and Momo deserves it for sure, because she goes out there and she wrestles with all the heart that she has and is really showing that even at 18 years old, she knows exactly what the hell she's doing and is a prime level performer. She's going out there throwing kicks on a kneeling opponent like Daniel Bryan does. And with that same level of form and same level of intensity, she works stiff as hell. And it shows, even for someone as small as she is, it works so well. And these two just beat the ever-loving hell out of each other. There's one moment in the match that I really loved. I'm going to have to send you the gif of this. But Momo had Hazuki tied up in like a pre-Rainmaker pose almost. And then ripcords her out and goes for a spinning kick to the head. Hazuki ducks the kick and in one motion comes back up, grabs Momo around the neck, and pulls her in for a DDT in one seamless motion. It's beautiful to watch. I have to send you and Sal the gift. Please. It's amazing.
Please.
The match progresses. Hazuki goes for the bombs away, her finisher, which is a top rope senton, and Momo blocks. Momo goes for her finisher, and Hazuki blocks. And they're just back and forth, right up until the finish, when Momo finally hits her finisher, but Hazuki manages to kick out, goes for the bombs away, and hits it, and still can't make the cover before the bell rings, and it goes to a 15-minute time limit draw. These two fit more into 15 minutes than most guys and ladies in WWE can fit in to 30. And it was amazing.
You know I love a good sprint, my friend.
Yeah, this was a sprint and a half. Definitely worth checking out. This match was incredible. After the match, the post-match, Hazuki basically went to Momo and said, you can rest up because you only got one match left. I have two. And if I win both of mine, I win the block, regardless of what happens with you. So be prepared for me to be the 5-star Grand Prix champion and to challenge you for your belt, because Hazuki's not going after her own stablemate Kagetsu for the World of Stardom title. She's going to go after Momo, continue the rivalry, and try and get both major singles belts in Stardom into one faction, which would be a coup for them. So this match was a must-see match, the perfect capstone to an incredible night for Stardom, and I highly recommend it. You can go check it out on Stardom World. It's the show that was just uploaded, I believe, yesterday to Stardom World's network from Shinkaba First Ring from this past Sunday, September 9th. Go check it out. A perfect capstone to a night of awesome matches. The semi-main event, Utami Hayashishita versus Jungle Kiona, is also well worth the watch. Very, very excellent match as well. And this whole show just has all the reasons why Stardom is just fine, despite having Mayu Iwatani as the only well-known, recognizable name left on the roster from the Stardom glory days of 2 or 3 years ago. The show, the promotion is still perfectly fine, and it's going to be great going forward, even with all of the even with all of the losses that they've had on their roster. So definitely go check this out. Well worth the watch.
Sounds good.
While I go fetch that GIF, what do you got for your match of the week?
I have a match that calls back to Monday's show, Connoisseurs of Wrestling, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, that I am on with Biff Kensington III, Legends Lover, and Taker's Minion. We talk all things past in professional wrestling.
Biff and Taker both are in the chat right now.
Yeah,
good evening,
my guys. Biff, stay dry, man.
Yeah.
Stay dry. Stay safe. Everybody down there in the Carolinas, Georgia, the old mid-Atlantic territory, if you will, be careful.
Mm-hmm.
The storm's coming. Literally, a storm's coming, so be careful.
Yep.
My match is something I had seen about 10 years ago for the first time and hadn't seen it since. Went back and rewatched it. We talked about the Midnight Express on Monday's show.
Nice.
And one of my favorite tag teams of all time is a tag team called the Fantastics. I've talked about them before. Mm-hmm. Tommy Rogers and Bobby Fulton. Well, at the very first Clash of the Champions in March of 1988, these two teams squared off. So I said, I haven't seen this match in a long time. I remember it being awesome. Let's check it out.
Okay.
So you have the Midnight Express versus the Fantastics for the NWA United States Tag Team Championship. Tony Schiavone and a very young, relatively young Jim Ross are your announcers. Beforehand, it's on the network. So, I clicked, they have the little dots on the network that tell you where everything is on the little bar, and it says the match starts and then the match ends. Mm-hmm. So I click a little bit before the match starts and I get a sweet Dr. Death Steve Williams promo where he's talking about being in the gym and lifting weights, and he's coming for the belt, and it's great. And I only caught the last 5-6 seconds of it. But you know what? You go for that belt, Dr. Death. You go for that belt. I got your back. Even though it's been 30 years, I got your back.
Mm-hmm.
So Jim Cornette's doing the intro, and every mother's nightmare and every girl's dream, Beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan, and they come out to their cool 80s synth wave music. And okay, mullets and sequins galore. It's a thing of beauty.
Nice.
Let's talk about their outfits. So I want you to picture have you seen Gladiator?
Yes.
So picture a peasant's tunic in Gladiator, a one-piece thing where it's a romper with no sleeves.
Yeah.
Only black and sequined.
Right.
These are great. Long tights, mullets everywhere. Yeah. It's the best. There's a Cornette Rocks section, and they all hold up his name in letters, like a sporting event,
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of fun. And then the Fantastics come out in their mullets, and they have Chippendale outfits. They have the bow tie with no shirt.
Oh, so they're like Dalton Castle's boys.
Yes.
Okay.
The women love them.
Yeah.
They are pretty great. Match starts out super hot, brawling right away, fighting outside. Jim Cornette's hitting guys with rackets. They're throwing tables at each other. They're body slamming guys in the table. Crowd's losing their mind.
Mm-hmm.
Vicious stuff. I've talked about it before, but Tommy Rogers of the Fantastics, who's one half of this tag team, is one of the most underrated guys of the past 30, 40 years. He's just tremendous. Awesome face in peril. Everyone's hitting guys with weapons and chairs. These guys are not locking up. They're fighting. Eventually, a tag team match breaks out, and when the Revival say they want to bring back old school stuff, this is what they mean. You watch it with 2018 eyes, you're like, oh yeah, the Revival do this stuff. And you're like, oh yeah, these guys did it 30 years ago. It's like, oh, okay, cool. A lot of fun double tag team moves by the Midnight Express, who were the heels. Poor Tommy Rogers was your face in peril. Kept teasing the tag. He would get thrown to the outside, and his partner would check on him, but the ref would make Bobby Fulton, his partner, go back into his corner, and then Cornette would hit him with the racket. The simple stuff. We love the simple stuff.
Yeah.
Crowd loved the simple stuff. Tommy Rogers selling like a madman. Beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan. Just, great stuff. He starts his comeback, right? Every time Tommy Rogers starts his comeback, the crowd loses their mind.
Yeah.
But he gets cut off because it's tag team wrestling. Eventually, he makes the tag, but the referee doesn't see it. So the referee goes to throw Bobby Fulton out of the match. I didn't see the tag. Oh, there was a tag. Crowd cheering. But Bobby Fulton grabs the ref and just throws him over the top rope. Another ref comes in. The Fantastics hit their finisher, which is the rocket launcher, which is the old Enzo and Cass.
Yeah.
Enzo climbs the top rope and Cass throws him onto the other guy. Move. The ref counts 1, 2, 3, but the first ref comes 2, and he was since the other guy laid hands on him, he was disqualified. So very dusty finish. Finish was kind of eh. But afterwards, everyone got their heat back when Jim Cornette literally whipped the guy with the belt. Bobby and Stan were holding up Bobby Fulton. Excuse me, Wow. Stan Lane and Bobby Eaton of the Midnight Express were holding up Bobby Fulton in the ropes, like across the ring. Yeah. And Cornette takes his belt off and just starts literally whipping him with it. And then Cornette's hitting the ref with the loaded tennis racket. And eventually the Fantastics clear the ring and the crowd's happy, even though they didn't win the belts because those dastardly bastards from the Midnight Express, were sent packing. And the big wheel keeps on turning, and that was in Greensboro. And I bet next week at the Omni in Atlanta, they're going to have another match. And then the week after that in Charleston, they're going to have another match. And then they're going to go up to Richmond and have a third match. And it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Because we don't need to reinvent the wheel here, It's great. So
Territory Days were an easy circuit to run.
You know it, my friend. You know it.
Yeah. I don't even have that good of a knowledge of the Territory Days, and even I know that was an easy circuit to run. You just make it so that the crowd goes home happy, and let the guys do their thing that they excel at. Easy stuff.
Why not? Right?
Yeah. All right.
What do you got for me, my friend?
Let's talk some women's wrestling.
Sure.
Since, as I said, this was a week of two different women's shows for me. We talked about the Stardom show just now. Great show. This week's episode of the Mae Young Classic was not. And I'm honestly really kind of disappointed. I mean, we all know, obviously, the first round is sure to have some clunkers. That is, if anything from last year's tournament taught us anything, and if anything from the Cruiserweight Classic taught us anything, the first round is sure to have some clunkers. But this week should have been, on paper, 3 great matches and one, at the very least, okay match. What we got was one good match, one match that was honestly pretty bad, and 2 matches that sorely underperformed for the performers that were part of them. So let's run through this real quick, one at a time. Show opener, Deonna Purrazzo versus Priscilla Kelly. The good match on the card. Not great, like I was expecting, but good. They're really not doing the right thing with Deonna, though. They are, the commentary is having her come out as the virtuosa, Fujiwara armbar specialist, have her talking in promos about how she's going to be breaking some arms. And then 70% of the match, she's playing face in peril to Priscilla Kelly, who is the same size as her, 3 years younger, I want to say, and with far less experience.
Okay, that's interesting, but okay.
And especially since Deanna won the match, it was kind of a head scratcher. I mean, Priscilla looked great. Priscilla definitely did a good job of showcasing herself well. Deanna, for her part, the start of the match and the end of the match for Deanna were good and definitely, endeared herself to the crowd. I especially like the fact that at the end she kind of had a breakdown at the end and really showed some real emotion about the fact that she was just so overcome with the fact that she had actually gotten her first win in a WWE ring and finally was there on the roster. Because after being made to look like a fool through her first stint in NXT, where she wasn't even signed, it was only being used as enhancement talent, and then for her to be then used only as an alternate in last year's Mae Young and then sent packing. You could tell this moment really meant a lot to her. And girl's only 24 years old and, is already in the big time now and is considered to be a big deal.
Real quick, one of the things that gives me so much optimism about the state of women's wrestling in this country, and I guess in the world, is how relatively new it is as a phenomenon and how young so many of the wrestlers are on the women's side.
Yes.
Like there are so many who are under the age of 30. And we know wrestlers don't age like quote real athletes. They really start to figure it out in their mid to late 30s.
Yeah.
So I am cautiously optimistic, my friend, that the women who are in their 20s, which is like everyone, 5 years from now are going to be just unbelievable.
Yeah. And Deanna is one.
That makes me happy. I mean, there's so many of them who are under 30.
Yes.
Almost all of them are under 30, with the exception of like Mercedes Martinez and etc. And there are a few of the elder statesmen, but like so many of them, especially the ones who are working every weekend on the indies and getting those reps, are so young that once they figure it out, the sky's the limit for women's wrestling in general.
Yeah.
That makes me happy. Makes me happy. So go on.
So the match was not exactly what I was expecting, but it still turned out all right. Right results happened in the end. And like I said, Deanna had that moment of just pure unbridled emotion, unable to hold back the tears at the fact that, she finally made it and had finally been given some respect and recognition by the company as well. That was huge. And I love seeing that from people, especially someone who I am a fan of. Getting to meet Deanna last year at Progress and seeing just how, focused she was on growing herself and growing her career. You can tell this is someone who loves the business and has a drive to succeed and really, cares about making sure that every night she goes out is the best night that she has. So, to see her go out there and succeed like that was really huge and really made a big difference. And so I love seeing that. That was the highlight of the card.
What episode was this? Because I'm going to spend.
This is episode 2.
I'm going to spend most of Saturday. I got to work a couple hours. I'm going to basically just prop my phone up in front of my computer because my computer doesn't have Flash to run the network, but my phone can run it.
Right.
I'm going to prop my phone up and just watch like 3 episodes of the Mae Young.
Well, this was only episode 2.
I thought, okay. And each one's an hour or 2 hours?
An hour.
Okay, so I should be able to watch it, no problem then. Okay.
Yeah, you can catch episode 1 and 2, no problem.
I thought more had dropped.
No, it's not. This is only the second episode.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the highlight of this card. The next match to happen was Zeuxis versus Ariel Monroe. Now, Ariel Monroe came out to huge adoration and fanfare with the crowd. They loved her right off the bat. They could tell. This was their girl who they were invested in for this match. And of course it didn't hurt that her husband, Cedric Alexander, and their baby daughter right in the front row to watch the match. And Zeuxis is out there next, and she's playing heel as she does.
That Zeuxis from CMLL?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. She comes out there playing heel as she does, showing all the swagger and all the attitude, and just being, completely brash and not giving a shit about the crowd. And the fact that they basically didn't even care that she was there because they were there for Ariel. 90% of the match was the commentary and the match structure was focused purely on Ariel. One half of it being her executing her offense and showing herself to be a strong style competitor, and the other half showing her selling, because Zeuxis, for whatever reason, wasn't given any sort of moments to really break out any big moves, any flash, anything impressive from her arsenal that she has. Except at the end, when she pulls off the top rope Spanish fly and gets the pin 1, 2, 3. Even though the crowd had been cheering the shit out of Ariel the whole time. And then the camera pans over to Cedric, who's comforting his crying daughter as Ariel is like stumbling from the ring after the loss. Complete wrong way to go about setting the tone of this match, because the entire time was all Ariel. Commentary barely said 2 words about Zeuxis the whole time that it was going on. Like, almost no information given about her. It was all talk about Ariel and all about her accomplishments. They barely said a single thing about Zeuxis and her career and her legendary runs that she's had in Lucha Libre.
She's been around forever.
Yeah. They barely said a thing about her.
When I talk about the elder statesman of women, she's an elder statesman. And I don't mean, I'm not taking a shot at her age. I'm just calling her.
No. She's one of the she's one of the best. She's one of the veterans, and it's rightfully so that she should be labeled as such. But yeah, no, they barely talked about her at all, which was a complete head scratcher for me, because you don't spend the whole match talking about someone who is not moving on to the next round of an elimination competition.
This isn't the G1 where it's a round robin.
Yeah, that is some bullshit. Yeah. Exactly. Right. And Matt DSM, welcome also. And that's a good call out also. Zeuxis' outfit was this weird body stocking that definitely did not do her any favors.
Really?
Yeah, very, very strange. So it was really kind of odd that commentary spent the whole time talking about Ariel Monroe. The structure of the match was based entirely around Ariel Monroe. The crowd was entirely behind Ariel Monroe, and she then lost. Now, I don't know if maybe the agents of the event did not expect the crowd to be as heavily behind her to know who she was as well as they did, but the crowd definitely knew who she was and were very much in her corner. And so when she wound up losing the match, it was a real head scratcher moment. So, and I expect, and like I said, the fact that Zeuxis is not allowed to pull out any like big moves of her arsenal really brought this match down from what it should have been, because it should have been a much bigger spectacle and a much bigger showcase for Zeuxis, and should have given both women the opportunity to show off what they can do. No, it was all Ariel, and then Zeuxis got the win. So unless this was like some moment of like trying to court Ariel into a contract by giving her a huge showcase, I don't know what was going on there. It was some really, really weird. It was a really weird decision. That's a good call out, Adam. Although that the audible with Rachel Evers versus Marty Bell last year, I believe, was more so because Marty Bell was just being awful in the ring. That was not an issue. This was not an issue of either performer not doing well in the ring, because it was a good match, despite the fact that Zeuxis was not allowed to show her skills. It was still an acceptable match. It was more just that the crowd was very clearly swinging one way, and they did not. They did not, go that way in the eventual decision. So I think it would have been a lot better if they had structured it in such a way that Zeuxis could have shown off her stuff and given the crowd a reason to get into her and care about her as much as they did about Ariel. So poor agenting choice there. The third match was the match that was just outright bad, and that was Casey Catanzaro versus Reina Gonzalez. Casey Catanzaro, you will know from American Ninja Warrior, the first woman ever to complete the course. She competed on multiple seasons. Very highly heralded performer on American Ninja Warrior. She's 5 feet tall and 100 pounds. Reina Gonzalez is a 6 foot tall Texan woman, probably weighs close to 200 pounds, and makes Casey Catanzaro look like a midget. And that's not meant to be offensive. That is not meant as an offensive term. Just literally makes her look insignificant when they stand next to each other. And this whole match was designed with the appeal of making Casey look as the underdog babyface who would eventually make a comeback, except the problem is that Reina Gonzalez is not the kind of excellent in-ring competitor that you would need to pull off that sort of size difference and have the comeback work. You know, we're not talking about somebody in there like a Beth Phoenix or even a Jessica Havoc, who is a larger competitor but has the skills needed to pull off the selling of the big comeback by the smaller competitor. And apart from that one big gymnastic style flip into the over the top ropes into the Hurricane Rana and the interesting springboard missile drop kick where Casey used her hips rather than propelling herself off the top rope with her feet, Casey didn't really show a whole lot that looked like she was ready to be in the ring, and Reina is still not, anything, to write home about. She's capable, but she's not anything special to write home about for sure. So this match was definitely a skippable match, and Casey wound up getting the win with a cradle, and it was, kind of underwhelming. And then the last match. Now, you recall, I asked you today during the course of the workday about Madison Rayne, who in the Mae Young Classic is performing under the name Ashley Rayne.
Okay.
And you told me that
she is a big on character. Mm-hmm. She and Velvet Sky were pretty awesome as the Beautiful People, which was like Lay Cool but better in like 05, 06, 07.
Yeah.
I don't remember a lot of particularly great matches. They were heels. They did a lot of heel bullshit. Like their gimmick of choice was the hairspray.
Yeah.
They would spray hairspray in the woman's face and then get the cheap roll pin. That's what heels do. That's fine. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's heels have been doing that for 100 years. So I'm not going to pass judgment on them for doing that. I remember in a loaded knockouts division, like TNA at the time was known for knockouts and the X division. Things the WWE wanted nothing to do with.
Yes.
And so the TNA figured out for a while until they, ran it into the ground that they should do something different instead of just have the same old retreads. And it worked. The problem is in a loaded knockouts division, I can't remember a lot of Madison Rayne matches that were particularly great.
True.
And she's 10 years older.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Chris, tell the class what happened.
So this match was Madison Rayne. I'm just going to call her Madison Rayne. I know she's being booked as Ashley Rayne, but
it's us.
Everybody knows she's Madison Rayne. So this was Madison Rayne versus Mercedes Martinez in your main event. Two veteran performers who, by all accounts, should have had no problem putting together a good match that would have been worthy of being a main event for the episode.
Yeah, I've seen Mercedes live. I've talked about her before. She's excellent.
Yes.
And she's, who she reminds me of, to be honest? And we'll talk about him a little bit later on in the show. Christopher Daniels. In that she's a professional, pro, gets it, is always in position, never makes her opponent look bad, never makes herself look bad, can wrestle a 3-star match in her sleep. Like she is the female version of like a Christopher Daniels, just a very solid hand. Yes. And that's valuable. But I'm not putting her down. She's very, very solid professional wrestler.
Yes. She is veteran in every way, and she is worthy of, all the accolades that she receives because she puts in good performances no matter what.
That being said,
this match was incredibly underwhelming. I don't know what was going on here. Because Mercedes was definitely pulling her weight and trying her best to make this look good. But everything that Madison Rayne did just looked completely and totally ineffectual and meaningless. Her whole offensive repertoire for the course of this match was just kind of there. There was nothing to latch onto. There was, and for someone who's so big on character, there was so little character displayed here. There's just nothing that she was doing gave you any reason to be invested. And believe me, like I said, Mercedes was trying her ass off to pull this match out of the garbage can. She was pulling out all the stops, selling like crazy for moves she should have had no business selling for, and really laying in heavy with the offense, and just really trying to salvage this. And nothing worked. Like this whole match, I was sitting there staring at the screen, just saying to myself, okay, so when is this going to start getting exciting? When is this going to start getting interesting here? When are we going to have some, that big oh my god moment?
When are we getting out of first gear?
Yeah, when this match really starts to pick up the pace, and it never really did. Nothing ever happened that really pulled this match out of the territory of just pure mediocrity. And for two veteran performers, one of whom, as we've said, is one of the best veterans in the business right now. For two veteran performers who have wrestled all over the world and who clearly are more than capable of putting together good matches, this should have been a lot better than it was. And it wasn't. It was honestly like a really disappointing main event. And that's probably the biggest damning thing of it for those of you, especially who were fans of last year's tournament and watched all of last year's tournament, because I can say with certainty that every single main event of every single episode of last year's Mae Young Classic was a winning match. An excellent match, one that you would go back and watch again because of how good it was. Every single main event of every single episode last year. This is the first, and last week's main event of episode 1, which I talked about, last week's match of the week, Killer Kelly versus Meiko Satomura. Another excellent match, worth going back and watching again. This one, not so much. And really, like I said, really disappointing, because Mercedes Martinez is a performer who, when she has a match, I expect it to be a match where I say, okay, I'm gonna want to watch this multiple times because it's gonna be a great match. And this is the first time. We've said it before about other performers. I think it's safe we can say it now about Mercedes Martinez. If you have a bad match with Mercedes Martinez, it ain't Mercedes' fault.
If you have a bad match with Christopher Daniels, it ain't Christopher Daniels' fault.
Yeah.
If you have if you have a bad match, I'm trying to think of a WWE analog. If you have a bad match with
Shirai.
Main roster.
Roman Reigns.
Yeah, well, that's different because they book his matches to get the crowd.
Even still,
yeah.
Because Roman sells his ass off for people he's selling his ass off for.
Yeah.
Guy went out of his way to make freaking Jinder Mahal and Bobby Lashley look good on pay-per-views this year. That should say something about.
You have a bad match with like Kofi Kingston. How's that for you?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Kofi Kingston, Cesaro, as Matt points out. I'm not willing to go there for Sasha because I've seen Sasha have some matches where it hasn't quite been together because she is reckless in the best way, which is why I love her.
Yeah, but some performers are not able to
exploit that. If you have a bad match with Kofi Kingston, it's not on Kofi Kingston. If you have a bad match with, not a lot of automatics on the main roster right now, Ember, yeah. One of those like 8-minute sprints that I love,
Yeah.
Speaking of, real quick segue.
Matt, stop it now.
Come on. Real quick segue. I kind of like what Sonya Deville has done the past couple weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, she's gotten better.
Yes.
So was I'm blanking on her name. Her partner. The country girl. What's her name? Shit.
Sarah Logan. That's the Riot Squad.
Yeah.
Wrong team.
Well, I'm kind of bouncing around here a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, I kind of like what Sonya Deville has done the past like month or so.
Yeah.
Go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You were making a point, and then I kind of sidetracked us.
So this week's episode of the Mae Young Classic was not one to write home about, which is very disappointing for my money. And I'm really hoping that they pick it up next week.
Next one drops Wednesday, right?
Yeah, Wednesday. I can say though, what I will say is this, and this is the one thing that gives me hope, is that like we're halfway through the first round, and there are more performers left that are kind of like the must-see, can't-miss performers than there are fillers. Because obviously there just like last year, there are some names that were just purely there as filler. But the rest of this first round definitely has a lot of names that are can't-miss, must-see performers. Names like Tony Storm, names like Io Shirai.
Yeah, I mean,
Io
Shirai is a top 10 performer, regardless gender, and that may be conservative. Like
I've said top 3.
Yeah,
I've said top 3. I put her at this point. I put her at number 2.
Who's number 1?
As.
Yeah.
I think there's no question.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's funny because we're mid-September. We got to start thinking about end of the year awards, and I think I'm gonna have to put Mr. Okada at number 1 for the rest of the year again.
Again, yeah.
This
dude still is. He still is just.
I think if we're talking today, September 13th, 2018, I think I have Io Shirai 5th. I think I go Kaz, Ishii, Ospreay, Ibushi, Shirai, and then Omega.
Okay.
I think. But I don't know. Did you see Rev Pro match between Ospreay and Ishii versus Ibushi and Omega from like this week?
I did not see it yet.
Yeah, you're gonna want to check that out.
What was that, Rev Pro, or was that no, that was Destruction.
Yeah, it was Destruction. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, I need to get caught up on the Road to Destruction shows. Because
you're gonna want to check the Golden Lovers versus Ospreay and your friend and mine, Mr. No Neck. Yeah.
Might as well just start. You won't get this reference, so I'm just going to start calling him Strong Mad.
I know Strong. Yeah, Strong Mad.
There we go. Okay.
I know him. Strong Bad, Strong Mad, and Strong Sad.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
thank
from the
God.
web cartoon, right?
Yes, Homestar Runner. HomestarRunner.com. Yeah, thank God somebody else knows the
reference. I get that. Yeah. And is the cheat still around and everything, right?
The cheat is not dead.
Yeah, exactly. I was in college when that shit was out. Yeah. I'm with you.
So glad the cheat is not dead.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that. I'm gonna have to watch that when we're done here.
They're putting on new episodes on YouTube now. So
nice. So yeah, I think I have Shirai 5th, and you could talk me into swapping her with the most beautiful man alive, Kota Ibushi, which puts her at 4th, which is a real tragedy. Why do I hate Io Shirai, Chris? I must hate her. I don't have her at number 1. I must hate her.
I don't even have her at number 1. So
if God exists and He wants me to be happy, He'll give me a Io Shirai Sasha Banks, loser's the first one to be rendered shoot unconscious match. Like a last man standing, but it won't be kayfabe. It'll be actual, like the first person to be knocked out.
Yeah. Unfortunately, for the two of them, knocked out will most likely also mean sent to the hospital. But
morgue.
Jeez, you're not wrong.
Not even the hospital, the morgue. Yeah. So
two people who don't know when to quit.
No, not at all. And you know what? Real quick, part of the reason why I love Io Shirai and part of the reason why I love Sasha Banks is shit just feels different when they're in the match. Like nothing's safe. There's nothing. There's no dancing. It feels like a fight. Like I talked about this a couple weeks ago on my other show, Connoisseurs of Wrestling, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, Mondays. But like you always hear all the time, like when Bruiser Brody wrestled, or like Stan Hansen, like everything else is fake, but Stan Hansen's real. Like that's how I feel about Sasha Banks and Io Shirai. Everything else is fake, but these two are 100% real. There ain't nothing fake about them,
Hell no.
And in a world where we talk about flippy do shit all the time, and I love Will Ospreay, but there's nothing real about Will Ospreay.
No.
Well, I shouldn't say that. His selling has gotten much better.
Yes.
You know, I love Kota Ibushi, but you know,
there's very little about Kota Ibushi, with the exception of those forearms. There's very little.
Nothing real about Kota Ibushi, but like Sasha Banks, you're a real girl.
Yeah.
You know, Io Shirai, you're also a real girl. And there's others there. I'm not saying those two, but those two, like the way they just, you know, they make it real, and I love that shit. Like they'd be right at home 30 years ago, just beating the crap out of each other and other people.
Yeah.
Great. I'm in. So, do you want to talk about Hell in a Cell? Or do you want to talk about All In? What do you want to go next?
Let's talk. Let's stick with WWE. Let's talk Hell in a Cell. So yeah. And yeah, suffice to say, if next week I come back and say, okay, this week's episode of the Mae Young was also not great, you can bet that I'm going to be significantly less subdued about it.
Do we know who's wrestling already on next week's episode? Do we have a match lineup yet?
If you give me 2 minutes, I can I can give you an approximation of who it is. Let's see. I need to find
a bracket.
Yeah, well, not even the bracket, just the spoilers, so to speak. But because I think they're continuing in order from what the from how they filmed the originals. So
while you do that, let me talk about Hell in a Cell in general.
Yes,
I don't want there to be dead air while you Google.
Oh wait, no, I got
it.
I got it. That was easy.
Cool.
That was easy. Okay.
All right, well, what do we got?
Next week. Next week we can expect to see the return of Caitlyn to the ring versus Kavita Devi.
That could be rough, but okay.
That could be rough. Here's your reason to tune in: Toni Storm versus Ginny.
Yeah, I'm in. All right, I'm there. Cool.
Then we have Xia Li versus Karen Q.
Don't know anything about him.
And then we have Mia Yim versus Allison Kay.
That could be fun.
That will definitely be fun.
Yeah. So I don't know anything about that third match. That first match could be rough, but the other two should be fun.
Yep. And then 2 weeks from now, or two weeks from yesterday, we'll have Hiroyo Matsumoto versus Rachel Evers.
Okay.
Which will be really good. That will be a match for you to afterwards feel like your ribs have been caved in from the stiffness of the strikes.
All right, I'm in.
They're both strong style. Then we're going to have Tainara Conti versus Jesse Elabon in a battle of Performance Center signees.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to have Nicole Matthews versus Isla Dawn. And then the main event, Io Shirai versus Xia Brookside.
Yeah, okay. Those both should be better than this week.
Yes. Unequivocally, yeah.
Unequivocally better.
Yeah, Good call out there, Zed. Karen Q is very awesome. She's been one of the reasons to tune in for Women of Honor. But she hasn't been on for a while. But the feud that she ran versus Deonna Purrazzo, Karen Q, Deonna Purrazzo, was one of my favorite women's feuds of 2017. It was amazing. Those two just, they killed each other in their matches every time, and it was so much fun to watch. They just kicked so much ass. It was so good. So great time. These next two episodes of the first round should definitely be better. So we'll see what happens.
See, let's hope so.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk Hell in a Cell.
I'm kind of bummed. I hate. I don't want this to devolve into it was better back when, but it was better. It was better back when Hell in a Cell meant something, and it wasn't just it's October, let's have the matches in a cell.
Yeah.
When it was the feud ender, and it was like you saw like one a year, and you're like, oh man, Triple H and Shawn Michaels really hate each other. They're gonna have a match in a cell. Yeah. Man, dun dun dun. Now it's like it's October, time for Hell in a Cell.
Yeah. Biff with the good call out. Ye olden days are the best days.
Yeah. True that. But you see what I'm saying? I hate that. I want Hell in a Cell to be something other than just, it's October, let's have a Hell in a Cell, or September, whatever it is. Let's have a Hell in a Cell match, Like, there's no reason Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton are in a Hell in a Cell, except that Jeff Hardy's going to do something dumb
and
be taken off TV for 6 months. Like, but well, whatever. So matches.
All right,
We got a match listing for me?
Yes, I do. Start at the top. Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus The Miz and Maurice in a mixed tag team match. Because it wasn't enough to see this at WrestleMania when it was John Cena and Nikki Bella.
No. Let me. My interest level in Daniel Bryan has gone from holy shit, I'm going to WrestleMania and Daniel Bryan's going to be there. That's going to be so cool. To big Cass. Okay. To he's just another guy on the roster I don't really care about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no matter what happens, Chris, from here, this is like one of the most egregious, to coin a football phrase, drop touchdowns in WWE history. Yep. How did they fuck this up? Remember when he was on Talking Smack with The Miz like a year and a half ago, and you were like, and your skin was crawling because it was so awesome?
Oh, listen, I've said this before and I'll say it again. WWE doesn't want you or need you to remember their history unless they decide you need to. And the only thing that they want you to remember is that Miz yelling angrily at Daniel Bryan looked really good enough for them to put it into a pre-match highlight video for a match that Daniel Bryan should have won and then wound up losing at SummerSlam.
Like, he's just another guy. Bryan, MF, and Danielson, who I will have words about next week on next week's Connoisseur of Wrestling, Mondays, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. I will have words about him on next week's episode. Is just another guy. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, great. And Brie and Maurice are going to possibly kill each other.
Probably.
And themselves.
Probably.
So, but okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So,
it's honestly, I really wish that they didn't feel the need to bring the women and the marriages and the children and all the real life shit into it. Just let these two talk about the fact that Daniel Bryan had to retire and The Miz supposedly took his spot, and then let them have a wrestle. And let Daniel Bryan kick the shit out of The Miz and have The Miz lose, because that's what heels are supposed to do. And let the crowd be happy that their hero got the win and is, doing something significant in his return, in what is supposed to be a triumphant return to the ring, and has instead been a belly flop. It's been a belly flop in the midst of an Olympic diving competition.
It's not been good, my friend.
No.
I mean,
no damn good.
No, sir. It's I think Brie pins Maurice, and then we get an Evolution match. Have fun.
And then the Miz wins again by cheating in Saudi Arabia 2 days later, which I don't even want to go into
We're not talking about Saudi Arabia.
Extremely egregiously bad nature of the WWE deciding to go back to Saudi Arabia.
We're not doing it. We didn't do it last time. We're not doing it this time.
Yeah, less than a week after having an all-women's pay-per-view.
And that's not a coincidence. We talked about that last week. Like, and I know.
Moratorium on it. It's not being discussed on this show, but it's we all know it's god awful, and that's all that we're gonna say about it.
You know, and I know that Evolution is there to give them cover for Jetta Volume 2 or whatever they do. So that's, but we got time. We'll get there. Next match, my friend.
Yeah. AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE Championship.
This feud,
I gotta say, going back to what I just said about the Daniel Bryan versus the Miz feud, I'm not pleased with them deciding to bring all this real life stuff into it, because Samoa Joe doesn't need to be saying those things in order for him to appear menacing and scary.
And I'm especially not pleased that AJ does not look comfortable at all when they bring in the real life stuff into it.
No, he does not.
I mean, he's either Paul Newman 2.0 in terms of acting uncomfortable, or he's just uncomfortable. And I'm pretty sure for a guy with 4 kids, one of whom is as young as his youngest daughter is, I'm pretty sure he is uncomfortable with this. I would be too if I was in his shoes. I don't blame him. Yeah. But
Say what you will about AJ Styles making questionable ethical decisions in terms of his views about people of, different lifestyles than him, but nobody deserves to be put through, would be forced to be playing a role that they don't like just because, they happen to have a family.
And it's ridiculous. Now Joe is making it work because he is one of the best promos in the world. That story time with Samoa Joe could have been an abject disaster, and it was only okay. But only okay is a big victory when you're dealing with that. You know what I'm saying?
It's more so that Joe is making it so that you don't feel necessarily as uncomfortable as you would otherwise because he's so good at playing a hateable bad guy.
Yeah.
If not for the fact that you can very easily say, you're a dickhead and I don't like you and I want AJ to kick your ass. This whole thing would just be sketchy, sketch, not fan.
This is you notice how this is a mid-card storyline?
Yeah. For the WWE Championship of Bruno Sammartino. It's a mid-card storyline for the WWE Championship of Bruno Sammartino.
Yep.
Who the fuck booked this shit?
Because it's not on Raw. SmackDown ain't the A show till it's on Fox. Chris.
Oh my god! And that's really the biggest issue for me is the fact that they decided that rather than having the championship that has the company's literal name on it and is their history, that is the thing that they have always boasted about. Rather than having that be their thing that they focus on, they decided to make this new gaudy ass piece of bloody cowhide that has the dumbest name of any belt in all of wrestling be the focal point of their company.
Yeah.
Which also, and for the record, this dumbass gaudy piece of bloody cowhide that has only now, for less than a month, actually had a champion who treats it with the reverence that they want it to be treated with by the fans.
I still actually expect this to be a good match, but this could have been so much easier if they just had a couple subtle nods to their history, some great promos, and then we're off to the races.
Yeah, I mean, they managed it during I hate to be alluding back to this again, but they managed it pretty well in the Roman Reigns-Bobby Lashley feud, where Roman said, "You went off to MMA. Yeah, you made quite an impact."
Yeah, call it a day.
That's easy. That kind of stuff is easy.
This company is.
You don't have to throw down the whole tape history of 2005 TNA main events. It's just, one line, a couple of choice words to make the illusions that you need to, and call it a day. These two are talented enough pros that they can make it work.
I mean, real quick, one guy's the champ, one guy's the angry challenger. Bada boom, call it, have a match.
Yeah.
You don't need, I'm going to, win your title and get on top of your wife. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Just win the belt. The belt should be in. The belt's enough.
Yeah, that kind of thing, that kind of toxic masculinity is just so... It has the fingerprints of Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn all over it, because that's the only thing that they have left of their glory days of, when they were the only game in town and they could get away with that kind of stuff without people losing their freaking minds about it. And they should. That's the thing. This is one case where I will say the internet and wrestling Twitter and everybody who is up in arms about it rightfully should be up in arms about it, because that's just crappy material. That's not a way to orchestrate a feud, especially for something that you're trying to claim is PG and family-friendly programming. That's just not how you do that. And, Vince and Kevin are just trying like hell because that's the only thing they have left. That's the only reason they have left to still be in the positions that they're in, is that they can write that kind of toxic masculinity better than anybody else. That's not a good thing. but they can do it better than anybody else. So they are trying to find ways to work it in as much as possible because, you know, that's all they have left before people start to realize, oh yeah, these guys actually can't book or write a good they can't book a good wrestling show. They can't write good television anymore. And the writer's room of 30 yes men definitely can't do either of those things either. So,
yeah, it could have been so much simpler. Then again, I think this match could be pretty good.
It could be.
I'm still waiting for the first great AJ Styles match of 2018, and it's mid-September. So
yeah,
we'll see.
There have not been any bangers from that man yet.
We'll see. What do we got next?
Well, real quick, Biff. I suspect there are kids that may not know about WWE's title history and importance. Therein lies a major problem. It's an institutional failure to protect their intellectual property. In this case, the value of the title. Yeah. That you're absolutely right about that, Biff. You know, for them to just take the title that has been, you know, the company's centerpiece for how many years now, and to just kind of throw it on another TV show and say, oh yeah, here's this thing too, but here's this giant big red belt that we're putting on all the people whose names we want you to know as household names. Like, really? Really?
I mean, Chris,
it
is, and I'm not exaggerating, and I'm not being hyperbolic. It is the most important championship in wrestling today, the WWE Championship. It has been the flagship championship of the flagship promotion in the world since 1960.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the list of names of people who have held the belt, from Buddy Rogers to Bruno to Pedro Morales, to Bob Backlund, to Superstar Billy Graham, to Hulk Hogan, to Sergeant Slaughter, to Macho Man Randy Savage, to Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and onward and onward and onward and onward. It is a who's who of professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
To squander that legacy for no reason, it just seems wasteful.
It does. It is. And it is.
So,
it absolutely is.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
All right. I mean, not bad off the top of my head, right? To get that list of names.
Yeah. No, that was really good.
Thanks.
Well done.
Okay. Thanks. You know, and we talk more history on Connoisseurs of Wrestling Mondays, 8/7 Central. It's the two show gimmicks is me plugging my other show incessantly, and two is Ryusuke Taguchi. Is Taguchi Japan still a thing?
Is Tanahashi still in Taguchi?
Is Tanahashi still in Taguchi Japan?
Yes.
Is he?
Today, yes, he is.
Today he is. Okay.
Yes. He actually posted some very, very risque photos of himself, and he is he is still jacked as fuck.
He's still my heart.
At 41 years of age, that man is still jacked as fuck.
You know, sex weights, and protein shakes, man. Yeah. The Tanahashi life.
Yeah. What a guy! What a legend! The forever ace. The forever ace. Next, my friend, the New Day versus Rusev and Aiden English in a tag team match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. New Day wins. Can we move on?
I feel that pushing Rusev and English just feels like 6 months too late.
It's we don't want to rehash the New Day Usos feud because that was too awesome. So we're going with these other teams.
Oh. Yeah. All right.
Sure. Wait. Tanahashi posted risque pics back in 20. Nice.
As Biff likes to say, he's gotten the vapors.
Yeah. Rightfully so. Those pictures, those are something.
Yeah.
What? Next up,
my friend.
Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman in a Hell in a Cell match for the Universal Championship with Mick Foley as a special guest referee. This being Braun Strowman's Money in the Bank cash-in match.
This has been a bizarre build, an odd turn, and two wrestlers that I don't really care about. But even though I have no stakes in the match itself, I expect this to just be a hoot of a match. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm sure it will be, but this should have been a lot better.
Yeah, given that it's been an odd heel turn, a bizarre build, two wrestlers who I don't really care about because of all that, and Mick Foley, who I haven't cared about in 20 years. Given all that, I expect these two guys to just beat the piss out of each other.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. You know, I mean, what I've said this before. If you're not going to give me a good story, at least give me a good match. This could be a good match.
Yeah. I can get behind that for sure.
You're not going to give me a good story. I've been watching. My faith in your ability to tell a story right now is at 0. But
yeah,
I mean, that being said, you know, these two guys, Roman will flop around like a fish, and I mean that positively, and Braun will do Braun things, and someone's getting through the cell, and you know what? I mean, the cell is going to get busted up, and whatever. The match will be good. It'll be a good match.
Yeah.
I hope it'll be a good match. I hope it's not some screwy-ass, wacky rest hold city, you know, but
no, these two are good at just pummeling the hell out of each other.
Like a 13-minute sprint. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think that at least will work.
Yeah. So the match itself, again, I don't care, but the match will be good, which is fine.
Yeah. They'll beat the shit out of each other, and it'll be fine. I mean, I know that Braun isn't going to lose, or no, Braun isn't going to win.
No, should he?
And you know, Roman's walking out of that cell with the belt still, but
as he should. Roman should end every show with the belt until WrestleMania at the absolute earliest, and even that's probably too early. At the absolute earliest Roman should lose the belt should be at WrestleMania, and even that may. And you could probably talk me into saying, George, that's still too early.
Yeah, like I could say SummerSlam next year.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've been saying this for a year. Got to have that long reign where he just beats the shit out of guys. We need that data. We need to know. We need to know if third-hour ratings hold. We need to know if the house show circuit pops up. We need to know. You know, that ain't gonna happen if he jobs to Braun Strowman after having the championship for a month.
Yeah, and on top of that, also, you know, you need to know that Raw is still going to draw ratings after SmackDown goes over to Fox
and Roman goes on SmackDown.
Yeah, that too.
Well, here's the deal. Well, let's say this, right? And I have not done a deep dive in the ratings in a while. So, let's say Roman is the champion from now until SummerSlam, and the ratings more or less stay stable, which is a victory in a television landscape where the ratings are plummeting everywhere because of how people watch less TV, whatever. Let's say Roman is a draw, right? Then when October of next year rolls around and SmackDown starts, you can go to Fox and say, hey, guys, this guy is a draw. Here's the information we have proving that he is a draw. We are now putting him on SmackDown to prove to you that we are worth the $1 billion, Dr. Evil Pinky, that you are giving us.
Yep.
Like, because here's the deal, Chris. SmackDown don't work. They're going to pump that shit off Fox and put it on Fox Sports 1, and then what happens?
Yep.
And then it's a whole new set of, and then it's a whole new issue. But if Roman Reigns is a draw as the champ, and maybe he is, and maybe he's not, I don't know. No one knows. It's been 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
If Roman Reigns is a draw as the champion, you can put him on SmackDown and expect SmackDown to draw. Like,
yep.
But we need to know if he's a draw.
Yeah.
And if he's not a draw, then you know not to put him on SmackDown. Like, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The point is, without that information of him being the guy at the top of the card with the belt that the entire show orbits around, like he has been for a month, we need that for another 6 months, another 9 months, another 12 months. We need this data. We need that data set. We need it in football season. We need it in the winter. We need it in the spring. We need it in the summer. Like, we need this information. The only way we're getting that information is if Roman Reigns the champion and beats the crap out of everybody.
Yep.
Like, so you don't like it, don't fucking watch. I don't watch Raw, not because I have anything to do with Roman Reigns, because I do Connoisseurs of Wrestling at 8/7 Central. The point is, though, like, we need that data set. They need that data set so they can make an educated decision. Now, they may have that data set and make the wrong decision because it's the WWE. But hey, at least they'll have that data, you know? So,
yeah. I mean, that is what statistics are for.
So
we'll see. I mean, either way, this should be a good match.
Should be a good match.
You know,
and Roman should win clean. But there's going to be fucking shenanigans because it's a BFF.
Adam is right. Mick is going to take a stupid bump, and everybody in the arena is going to have a heart attack in that moment because, you know, he's Mick Foley and he should not be taking bumps in 2018. But
he did move a little better than he has in a while. I think the hip replacement. I think the hip replacement's good for him, but
yeah, so we'll see.
We'll see.
But yeah, so that's that. And we'll see what happens there. How was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? Good one, Madeline. I like that. But yeah, this match needs. Yeah, Taker's right. This match needs some color to be believable. These two need to beat the shit out of each other and be allowed to beat the shit out of each other for sure. Why aren't most of you calling out AJ for SmackDown Live being a Scooby-Doo ghost town? That is absolutely a worthwhile question.
Oh, there were like 6 people there like watching at the end of SmackDown / beginning of 205 Live last week.
Yeah, and it should be called out. It absolutely should be. Like the fact that they haven't, the show that they're supposed to be putting onto Fox can't draw even a half full attendance. Most TV tapings, that's a bad thing. And they should know better than that. But, AJ has no-showed here in Dubuque twice since he became champion. Really, Taker? That's insane. That's crazy. I did not even know that. Yeah, but no, Madeline, you're right. To hold Raw to some standard just because of who the champion is stupid as hell.
Well, it's not just the thing is we don't have the quarter hours anymore, which was so useful. Mm-hmm. So all we can do is be like, and again, I have not looked at the ratings in like 2 months. So, but let us say hypothetically that, you have the 20-minute show opening promo and they say, oh, the main event is Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, right? I'm just making shit up.
Yeah.
And if 500,000 less people watch hour 3 than watched hour 1, we know that they were not interested in watching Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. Now, there could be a litany of reasons why. Maybe the football game got good. Maybe it was a holiday. Maybe no one likes Dolph Ziggler. Maybe no one likes Seth Rollins. Maybe. I have no idea. But if you advertise anybody as your main eventer, and hour 3 is a dumpster fire ratings-wise for 6 months, then that person is not keeping viewers from hour 1 to hour 3.
Yeah.
Like, that seems pretty logical, And again, a lot of context, and I haven't gone through the numbers in a while.
Yeah.
So maybe he's keeping people. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's not even wrestling in hour 3. I don't even know. I don't watch Raw. But
I know used to be so much better when
we had the quarter hours.
When we had quarter hours and we had a good old KM Tierney analysis.
But they have the quarter hours.
Yeah.
So they know that and again, I don't know if this is true, but they know that if Roman Reigns' segment, if 500,000 people tune out the quarter hour that Roman Reigns is wrestling, they know that there's something there. The problem is that we don't know that, but they know that.
Yeah.
So who the hell knows? My point is that he needs to be the champion.
Yes.
And all the other cock tease from the past 5 years, this is your guy. You have gone all in with Roman Reigns, right? Mm-hmm. This is their guy.
Then action time to actually do it.
Time to actually make him the guy. What's the line from West Wing? How do you get children to eat their vegetables? By only serving them vegetables.
Yep.
Like, maybe it works and maybe it doesn't, but you got nothing to lose. Like, that's all I'm saying. So, not holding anyone any standards. I'm just saying, maybe Roman's the guy. Maybe he's this great draw. Maybe he grows into the belt. Maybe the belt grows into him. Maybe everything happens. Maybe nothing happens. But I'd like to know that information, or to some degree know that information. That isn't going to happen if he's jobbing to Braun Strowman after 28 days or whatever the hell it's been. You should beat Braun Strowman in the middle of the ring with the fucking spear. 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
And then, you know what? Next month at whatever the next non-evolution show is, he should beat Drew McIntyre in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. And the month after that, he should beat Finn Balor or whomever. Like, he should be fucking Genghis Khan laying a path of destruction through the roster. You know what I mean?
The first week was the best week when he said, "I'm challenging Finn Balor."
Great.
That was a hell of a fucking match.
Great. More of that, please. That's good.
More of that.
That's good. And he should be in the main event segment of every Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Every Monday Night Raw at 9:30 my time, 10:30 your time. He should be on TV beating the shit out of people.
Yep.
So, all right.
Next, we have Oh, God. Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship.
Oh boy. I kind of want to squash another one.
Yeah. Give us a repeat of last month at SummerSlam and move on. That's all. That's all that needs to be said.
Sure. Great. I mean,
next.
So,
Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton in a Hell in a Cell match.
Jeff Hardy's going to die.
Yep.
And I'm not going to care.
Yeah.
Well, I care if he dies.
Well, if he shoot dies, yeah, we will care.
If he shoot dies, yeah, I will definitely care.
But if you know, the days of us being holy shit at Jeff Hardy doing stupid shit out of stupid structures, have long since passed.
Also, Jeff Hardy's washed.
Yeah, and Randy Orton is a reprehensible human being that they should never have kept signed to the roster. But that's neither here nor there.
Jeff Hardy's washed, and Randy Orton is
shit.
He's not going to care. Charitably, I'm being charitable. He's not going to care.
Yeah. And if he doesn't care, and putting aside the personal stuff, if he doesn't care, why should we?
I mean, if he does care, why should I care?
Even then, even then,
If he does care, why should I care? So, next.
Oh, now I gotta have more words here.
Oh, I like words.
Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch.
Lady Roman fights Lady Bryan, as a friend of mine put it.
So now here's something.
That's not even fair to Roman.
No, it's not.
Lady Roman votes.
Here's the thing. So after what happened last month at SummerSlam and all that shit, people went ape shit on Road Dogg on Twitter about, we don't want Becky Lynch as a heel. We don't want Charlotte being shoved at us as a face, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Road Dogg went and said, pick a side. That's all I want you to do is just pick a side. WWE put up that poll of who the people supported in the Charlotte versus Becky ordeal, and like 90% of people responded that they were behind Becky, and WWE pulled the poll off the website. And then all the reports were saying, oh no, they're just gonna they're gonna not go with alignments on this. They're just gonna let the two characters play out as they will and let the fans decide. And everybody said, all right, cool, we're behind this. And then this week happens, and they have Charlotte be out in the crowd taking pictures with two young girls, very clearly plants, but still taking selfies with two young girls, and Becky ambushes her from the crowd while she's in the middle of taking selfies with two girls who are elementary school age. Is that really just letting the fans decide, or are you again blatantly trying to direct the narrative in the way that you want so that you can have your blonde-haired, blue-eyed Flair champion who has been more protected despite the fact more protected than anybody on the roster, despite the fact that she has very clearly regressed in comparison to the rest of her peers. And despite the fact that she very clearly is not the person that people want at the top of the card and at the top of the show. And she is very clearly not the woman that people want as one half of the first women's match to main event to WrestleMania, even though it's insanely clear that that's what's going to happen. That the first women's match to ever main event to WrestleMania is going to be Charlotte versus Ronda. And they've just made that so blatantly clear, and they're just doing everything in their power, despite saying, no, we want the fans to decide. Let them decide who they want to support. And then it's like, no, actually, we're going to push the narrative the way that we want it because you're all idiots, because you're our fans and you're idiots. And you should be rooting for our blonde-haired, blue-eyed champion with a new set of implants that we just love so much because we actually want to bone her because we're old-ass 70-year-old men that can't get any anymore. Come the fuck on, Vince McMahon. Get out of life with that shit. It's just this. I was prepared before Tuesday night to say, okay, they're actually, going along with what they should be doing here, which is to have Stone Cold Becky Lynch versus, Charlotte as I wouldn't even know what the comparison would be. But I would.
What Charlotte is, right?
Well, besides being what people think Roman Reigns is,
she's what people think the Roman Reigns push is the actual Charlotte push.
Yeah,
like
everything that people say is wrong about Roman is actually wrong about Charlotte, but nobody actually cares enough to speak the words.
Only Roman's a better wrestler.
Yeah, Roman is a far superior wrestler.
Particularly close.
Yeah, he's a better wrestler. He's a better character and promo also, and and he, in the face of ever increasingly skillful peers and ever increasingly better competition, has improved and stepped up his game every step of the way to make sure that even though there are a large subset of fans who don't want him there, he is still deserving of being in that top spot. Whereas Charlotte still can't put together a halfway decent match when it's not on pay-per-view and it's not against the top tier opponents, and still is barely capable of holding her own in terms of promo speaking, and is barely capable of, doing anything that hasn't already been done ad nauseum. I am so far beyond done seeing that fucking moonsault.
She's got to stop it.
Just get it the fuck off my TV. I'm done with it. I'm over it. And like, it's the same shit every time. It's callbacks to her father, the moonsault, and fucking like, I was insanely happy when they finally let her bring natural selection back to her arsenal, but it still isn't the finisher. Like, when that was her finisher back in NXT, that was awesome. That was a great freaking finisher.
She won the title with that, though.
Yeah. Well, that's the first time that she's won the title with anything but the figure eight.
Yeah.
And that was only because it was a triple threat.
Yeah. No, I got you.
If it hadn't been a triple threat, it would have been the fucking submission again. I'm done with it. I'm done with it. Get Charlotte off my TV and stop with your fucking boner fantasies, Vince McMahon. Get the fuck out. We don't care about what your preference in women is. We don't. Because guess what? This ain't fucking 1985 anymore, and your preferences are not, able to dictate what the rest of your audience wants. People decide for themselves now. And it's not just about looks. So get the fuck out, Vince.
You know what the issue is?
Which one?
Fair point. The issue is that Vince McMahon looks at these two people, right, and says the crowd should be cheering for Charlotte because she is the Superman of the two. Mm-hmm. But that's not what the crowd does not want to cheer for. The Superman. They want to cheer for the one who scratched and clawed and fought her way to get to where she is.
Yeah.
Like, they want to cheer for the one who's authentic, and they want to cheer for the one they have a connection to. Yep. Holy shit, that sounds like something I would say. Because I have.
Yep.
Like, the fact that they thought that, this is the women's division answer to, we don't know what our fans want, so now we have to book our way out of the mess that we created because we don't know how to manipulate audience reactions anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this before, Chris. The star-making machine in this company is broken. It's broken. Yeah. And they don't know how to fix it, or they won't fix it. Either way. Either you can't or you won't, but either way, the outcome is the same. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what we have is people like Becky a lot, and people really dislike Charlotte. Becky is gritty, hardworking, and held down by the man. Charlotte is the legacy talent who is good but also bad at wrestling. The babyface and heel dynamic is totally backwards. And what that does is that screws your entire division up.
Yeah. It's basically it's Stone Cold versus The Rock, except The Rock equivalent here has about 1 iota the amount of charisma that The Rock did.
Well, it's not even
1 iota.
I don't think Charlotte can play a face at all. In fact, I know Charlotte can't play a face.
She's really not great at it.
She's not great at it. The problem is they look at the tall, statuesque, ripped, pretty blonde and say that's the good guy because our fans want superheroes. And this is in 1986, man. Mm-hmm. They're not cheering for Hulk Hogan as the babyface. You know? Like, they think that people should cheer for Charlotte because she is so much better than all of them. Just like people cheer for Superman. But what people really want to cheer for is Batman. This is a Batman versus Superman feud, Chris.
Let's actually look at this superhero allegory from the other side of the coin.
Sure.
Or rather, the other company. Marvel is in the midst of revolutionizing superhero movies with 10 years of solid product.
Yes.
You know who one of the characters is that people love the most in the Avengers franchise right now? Fucking Bruce Banner, the gray-haired, short, old, geeky mathematician who has more character depth and complexity than almost anybody else on that entire roster of characters. People fucking love Bruce Banner. And not just because of his antics as the Hulk either. Bruce, the human side of the character, is what people love because of the complexity that is offered there. That's what people are looking for. They're not, plenty of people love Captain America as well. But more often than not, even the people who love Captain America, more often than not, are talking about the depth and breadth of his relationships with Tony Stark, with Bucky, with King T'Challa, and all the rest of the characters before they're even bringing up the fact that he's ripped and attractive and blonde and fits that Adonis-like, Western standard of beauty.
It's not even... do you know why people love Spider-Man? Because he is what they would be if they were a superhero. Peter Parker still got to work 2 jobs, right? Like a lot of people. And he still gets tongue-tied around Mary Jane, like a lot of people do around their significant others. And he still comes from a broken home, like a lot of people do. But he has superpowers. Like, when people vision themselves as the superhero in their own private fantasy, they vision themselves as Spider-Man or Batman from a flawed background because that's who they are.
Yep.
They aren't tall and statuesque and jacked and agile and from a legacy family like Charlotte is. That's why Charlotte cannot relate as babyface. But they think that she can, which is kind of a tragedy, to be honest.
And even with the Superman allegory, people forget more often than not. Superman has a tragic backstory in and of himself. His home planet's fucking destroyed. Yeah. He lost his parents when he was still a baby and is now having to adjusting to life on an entirely foreign planet with nobody to turn to in the event that he is, in trouble.
And if you really want to talk tragedy, the poor bastard grew up in Kansas.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, like, goddamn.
Yeah, of all places, right?
Of all places. I mean, that's a tragedy.
Yeah. Madeline bringing up some great points though in the process of this. Thank you, Madeline. Charlotte being Rick's daughter would work better if she was just trying to escape her dad's shadow.
Yeah,
but the one time it did work too. The one time it did work was the time that she freaking cast him out after beating Sasha for the title for whatever time that was, the second time or whatever. Then it would have worked at that point in time. But yeah, they tried this whole Superman thing with Roman, and no one bought it, and he's still paying the price for it. The fact that Charlotte is only just now starting to pay the price for it, honestly, is one of the greatest miscarriages of justice that I will say that I will blame this company for. But that's another time and another place.
Yeah, it's and the depressing part is that Ashley Fleer deserves a real story too. Everyone deserves a real story. Like everyone deserves nuance in their stories. Everyone deserves maturity in their stories. Everyone deserves their characters to develop, progress. Everyone deserves it. But they are letting her down by booking her the way they are, just like they're letting all of us down by booking her the way they are. So, that being said, I feel like I've said this about 14 times today. The match should be pretty good. So. Who the hell knows?
It's unfortunate that it's not in the cell, though. It should be in the cell.
Should be in the cell. But the match should be pretty good.
It should be a pretty good match, yeah.
So,
all things considered.
That's it for this show, right?
No, we still got one more.
We do?
Yeah.
What do we got?
Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre versus Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins for the Raw Tag Team Championships.
I forgot all about this match.
Yeah. No, yeah. And you want to know why? You want to know why?
Get to where Dolph turns on Drew and vice versa and calls it a day?
Yeah, that's why, because Dolph Ziggler is part of this.
Can we just get to where
literally Drew McIntyre and literally anybody else?
Can we get to where Drew turns on Dolph and skip all the rest of it?
Yeah, please. Get to the point where Dirty Deeds into Blackout and Dolph gets pinned 1, 2, 3, and then Drew hits him with a fucking Claymore and walks out on him after the match. Just get to that and call it a day, because literally this match could be one of the best tag team matches that the company's put on all year if it was literally anybody else but Dolph Ziggler in there as Drew McIntyre's partner. Literally anybody else. Who the fuck cares about Dolph Ziggler in 2018?
Yeah.
And Drew hit him with a literal Claymore. I would like that.
Oh, nice.
I'm down for that, Adam. A literal Claymore. Now, are we talking about just bludgeoning him with it, or do we actually want the Claymore to explode? Because I'm cool with either one. But,
do you remember the scene from, when's the last time? You saw Braveheart recently, relatively recently?
Nah, it's been a while.
There's a great scene where he, kills a guy lying in bed with this ball and chain, and he hits him in the head with it.
Yeah.
So he's on the horse, and then he gets on the horse in dude's bed, and he lets this big ass ball and chain go, and he smashes this guy in the face with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could happen. I'm game for that.
Mm-hmm. Take your pick. You don't want me taking my pick, Adam. That's going to end poorly for everybody.
I don't care about this match. I don't care. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you. I tell you what. Honestly, putting the tag team belts on the B team was probably the worst mistake they've made.
Oh, it was idiotic
in a very long time, and that's gonna make people not care about these belts for quite a while, because you can't take those belts seriously when you put it on the comedy fucking team of Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. You can't. If they had put those belts on literally anybody else, I would care. I said for a while, and it's unfortunate that AOP had the visa problems that they did, but AOP should have been challenging for those belts within 3 months of being on the main roster. Instead, they disappeared because they had their visa issues, and the belts got shuffled around because they didn't know what the fuck to do. And now here we are, and Dolph Ziggler is one half of the team that's holding them. And the belts got hot-shotted to this team 2 weeks before pay-per-view, just so that you could get the other 2/3 of the Shield on the card. What are we doing here?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know, and I don't care.
No.
I mean,
do you think that
I didn't even know this was a match?
Do you think
I am a bad co-host?
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
Do you think Dean and Seth win this?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I hope
good.
they do.
I hope they do.
I think and again, the theme of this show, the match should be pretty good.
Yeah. Zed, you may be the only Ziggler fan here. I'm sorry about that, but I just can't bring myself to care about him. I haven't cared about him in at bare minimum 2 years. And even then, it was a slight blip on the radar. I really cared about him 4 years ago, but it's been way too many mediocre matches against far more talented opponents and being given highlight slots that I don't feel like he should have.
There is something to be said for the fact that this roster is pretty stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and Dolph Ziggler being Dolph Ziggler for 10 years is proof positive of that.
Yeah. Despite the fact that, as we've said many times, this is the most talented roster that this company has had in its history.
Yeah.
And let's look at this card. And the United States Championship is not even being defended on this card. Shinsuke Nakamura is not on this card.
Nope.
The Cruiserweight Championship is not on this card.
Nope.
Cedric Alexander is not defending his belt on this card. The number of amazing performers, and this is the same.
What we're getting again, right?
This is the same story as what we had last month when we said, look at this SummerSlam card and look at the names that aren't on it.
And we're getting the thing again that we get every fucking card, Chris, where the only women's matches are ones for the title.
Yep.
Like, what are we doing here, man? Like, come
Although
on.
there's likely to be some BS. Well, actually, I don't even know if they're going to have, like, if these matches are all going to be on the main card or if some of this is going to get moved to the pre-show.
Are you hyped for an Elias concert?
No, that's something also that, like, their insistence on this gimmick continuing to play itself out every single place they go and, like, really almost never varying the formula in any way is really starting to rag on me. Like, I get that there are people who love it, and I get the fact that, it's an easy thing to go to as a way to kill time and to really, emphasize the point that, no, we're not a wrestling company. We're a sports entertainment company. I get that. I get it. But the formula is tired. The results are always the same. And I'm just ready for them to move the fuck on, because it's not leading anywhere. It's not like Elias is going to end up holding the IC title or the US title at any point soon. It's just we're just standing here. We're just standing here. I don't know.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Let's save the Oscar talk for next week.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
You want to blitz through All In?
Actually, you know what? I don't really think we need to talk All In because there's really not a whole lot to. I think we can axe All In. I want to run through the Stardom.
Oh yeah, do that. That's more timely.
Yeah, I want to run through the blocks real quick.
Do that.
So we are coming up on the end of the Stardom 5-Star Grand Prix. The tournament will continue this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. They have 2 more shows, and then the final night of competition is the 24th. Monday the 24th will be the last night of competition from the 5-Star Grand Prix. So as it stands right now, Red Star's block. The block is currently being led by Jungle Kiona, who has 8 points right now. 3 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws. 2 time limit draws for her puts her in kind of precarious positioning, especially since both of those draws are to the 2 women who are right behind her with 7 points, Kagetsu and Utami Hayashishita. They both have 7 points and are both could very easily overtake her since they both have 2 matches left and Jungle Kiona only has 1. So Kiona needs to win her last match against Natsuko Tora, her stablemate, and needs both Kagetsu and Utami to lose at least one of their matches, if not both. So it's kind of precarious for her, but she's sitting in control right now. The rest of the block, tied for third with 6 points are Konami and Rachel Ellering. And Konami only has 1 match left, so she's effectively out of contention. Rachel Ellering has 3 matches left. So if she wins all 3 of her final matches against Tam Nakano, Utami, and Kimberly, She could put herself in contention to win the block. So it's going to be it's going to be kind of a race to the finish for her to see what she can do with those final 3 matches. And then bringing up the rear in the block with 2 points each, Tam Nakano, Natsuko Tora, and Kimberly, all effectively out of contention at this point. Over in Blue Star's block, as I alluded to when talking about my match of the week, Momo Watanabe and Hazuki both are in the lead in that block with 7 points, tied. Momo only has 1 match left against the ace, Mayu Iwatani, whereas Hazuki has matches left against Mayu Iwatani and also Natsu Sumiri, her stablemate in Oedo Tai. So Hazuki, if she wins both matches, she will effectively win the block. But she does have some people to watch for. Mayu Iwatani, Kelly Klein, and Nicole Savoy are all lurking with 6 points apiece. And all three, Mayu Iwatani and Kelly Klein both have 2 matches left. So they could both potentially pull ahead. Nicole Savoy only has 1 match left. So she would need everybody to effectively lose all of their remaining matches for her to still be able to pull any sort of standing out. So she is effectively eliminated. But mathematically not yet. And then in the bottom half of the block, Saki Kashima, Natsu Sumiri, and Jamie Hayter all have 4 points apiece. So they are all effectively and mathematically eliminated from contention at this point. So at this point in time, it's looking like Red Star's block is, as I said, is Jungle Kiona's to lose. I don't think they have Kagetsu win the block because she's holding the red belt. So I don't think that she's going to be winning the block. And I don't think they give it. Well, they could potentially give it to Utami because she is the she's the new flavor of the week right now. She came into the company with a whole lot of fanfare and has been getting a whole lot of coverage on her matches. So Utami could end up winning it, but I think that they really want to give Kiona a good solid singles push and finally give her singles gold. So I think that or at least give her a singles accolade of some sort. So I think she wins the block over in red side. On the Blue Stars side, I really think that they are effectively giving this to Hazuki. They're going to have her win the block because she is clearly the new big thing that they want that they want to be seen as a big deal. So I think that she wins blue. And the finals end up being Kiona versus Suzuki, which we've seen in the past and has always proven to be a lot of fun and an enjoyable match. So if that ends up being the finals, I will not be complaining because those two put on great matches against each other and will definitely further their personal rivalry and also allow them to showcase themselves as being standard bearers for the company going forward as 2 of their young rising stars. So that's what's going on with Stardom. We'll have a further update next week based on this weekend's 2 shows to see where we're at. And that should give us a good picture as to where we will be heading into the finals on the 24th. Last thing, this weekend we have 2 this weekend and next week we have 2 destruction shows. Destruction in Hiroshima. As you can make the joke now.
I mean, I feel that joke. I feel that joke has bombed in the past.
Oh no! Oh, you somehow made it worse.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, tip your servers and try the veal.
Yeah. Well played, sir. Well played. At Destruction in Hiroshima, we will have a number of different matches that are worth noticing. We have ourselves a match for the never openweight 6-man belts. The Bullet Club OGs, Taiji Ishimori, Tagaloa, and Tamatanga will be defending the belts against Ryusuke Taguchi, David Finlay, and Juice Robinson. We'll also be having ourselves a very interesting looking 6-man tag match. GBH, Tomoaki Honma, and Togi Makabe will be facing, along with Hiroshi Tanahashi, will be facing the Chaos team of Jay White, Yoshihashi, and Kazukata. Interestingly, we made our question earlier, is Hiroshi Tanahashi still in Taguchi Japan? I said yes, but actually I forgot Tanahashi may be looking to recruit people for a new stable for just himself.
I saw that.
He
He's
made
like
it
going after Yoshihashi and everything.
going after Yoshihashi and Hangman Page of all people.
Sure.
He's calling it a stable of light.
Huh.
Which I don't get. But
I could be down for. I mean, Yoshihashi's kind of garbage, but I could be down for Hangman Page being the number 2 in a stable behind Ace.
That could be fun. That could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Depending on who else they got, we'll see. And then the main event for Destruction in Hiroshima, as we've gushed about in the past, Kenny Omega versus Tomohiro Ishii for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. It's going to be an amazing match. That's your reason to tune in. That's your reason to wake up early. That is that is going to be Saturday. Yeah, so early Saturday morning.
So I gotta work at 8 a.m. So I think I may just go to work, watch that unspoiled, and then watch the Mae Young afterwards.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
I'd like to catch up on the Mae Young before I get buried in it. You know. So
yeah, that should be a ton of fun. Then on Monday, September 17th, Destruction in Beppu at the Beppu Beacon Plaza. The second Destruction show of the tour. What do we have that is worth talking about? Oh, we got a couple of things, actually. We got 2 title matches on this card. I'm not going to run through the undercard, but we've got 2 title matches on this card that are worth talking about. The Never Openweight Championship will be defended. Hiroki Goto defending the Never Openweight Championship against Choo Choo Taichi, your guy.
Yeah.
Still driving that Taichi train.
Drive that train, baby.
Still sitting in the station with nobody else on board.
I'm driving the train. It may be like that little train at the mall for like Christmas time where like little kids ride the train.
You're just going around in circles.
But I'm riding that train, baby.
And then
I do like how Taichi has said that if he wins the Never, he's going after the juniors just because he has a weight advantage.
Nice.
And as we've talked about on Twitter, I'd be down for the juniors wrestling for the Never.
Yes.
Now and again, it is a open weight. They should be able to.
Yes.
You know, why not? Exactly. Who doesn't want to see Kushida versus Tomohiro Ishii or whatever?
Give me that match.
Yeah.
100% of the time. Actually, I was actually wrong. There is only one title match. That is that title match is your semi-main event. Your main event is certainly worthy of a title, and even though there is not one being defended, it is worthy of watching. Wake up early on Monday morning because your main event for Destruction in Beppu, Tetsuya Naito versus Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Except their last match wasn't awesome, so I hope that they can atone for that.
No, I expect they will be able to.
Yeah, it will be.
I don't see why not.
Agreed. I mean, I'm not losing sleep over that. That would be great.
Yeah, as if this year has taught us anything, in the year of our Lord 2018, Jay White, the one match is certainly not indicative of a pattern.
No, not at all.
So definitely worth considering that moment could have been just one match. Might have been just a blip on the radar. So that's Saturday and Monday, Destruction in Hiroshima and Destruction in Beppu. And then next week, we will talk to you about Destruction in Kobe, the final show of the Destruction Tour, which is taking place on Sunday, September 23rd. We'll talk to you about that when we get to next week's show. So that's going to be a fun one. Looking at this card, it's gonna be a fun one.
Agreed.
So we'll get to that next week. That's your teaser. So next week, episode 75, a monumental number. We will have Hell in a Cell recap, 5-star Grand Prix update, recap of next week's episode of the Mae Young, preview for Destruction in Kobe, recaps for Destruction in Hiroshima and Destruction in Beppu, and the Asuka discussion.
Yeah, sounds good to me, my friend.
All right, let us plug all the things because we have a lot of friends and we have some new friends to talk to you guys about this week. We warned you we warned you with that seriousness that when friend of the show Tanya Rogers returned with a new show to the podcasting sphere that we were going to hype it the hell up, and boy howdy did we ever do that last night when Tanya premiered her brand new show Suplexes and Shea Butter last night, featuring her co-hosts Cali Girl and oh my god, I can't find the tweet where there we go. Cali Girl and Miss Claudine, her co-hosts. Episode 1 was apparently absolutely amazing, as you can expect, because Tanya Rogers is herself absolutely amazing and only produces the best quality wrestling podcast content. So if you are not following Suplexes and Shea Butter, go look them up on Twitter, or on YouTube. Follow Tanya on Twitter at Militia Mellows Joe and get all the information about the show when it goes live on Wednesday nights. And listen in. It will be worth your time. I promise you. Excellent, excellent stuff. Also, another new friend of the show. Well, an extension of a current friendship, I should say. Biff Kensington has alerted me to the fact that he has started up a new show very recently called Grounds for Development with his co-host Greg Hold that will be covering NXT and 205 Live weekly. They will be uploading the shows to YouTube on Thursday mornings. So please go look up Grounds for Development. You can find them on Twitter at Grounds4Dev1. That's Grounds4DEVE1. And follow them and subscribe to their YouTube channel and listen to their content because they will also be developing and delivering excellent material for all your NXT and 205 Live needs. You can also find Biff along with Taker's Minion, along with Legends Lover, and along with the man to my left, right, up, down, and center, George Savas, on Monday nights for Connoisseurs of Wrestling. George, tell us a little bit about it.
Monday nights, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. The four of us talk about the past in wrestling. We spent an hour and a half talking about the Midnight Express last Monday. Episode before that, Bruiser Brody. And we bounce around and we talk about, the old days. And it's just a cool deep dive into the past. And I feel that there are a lot of newer wrestling fans. And if I can, in any way, shape, and form, make them aware of how wrestling used to be and let them make the decision for themselves to watch it, I'm there. I'm like the waiter who brings you the steak. And you pick the steak you want. Do you want the T-bone? Do you want the porterhouse? And then the guy cooks it for you. I'm the waiter for that, So
I dig it.
Yeah. Every Monday, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, the four of us talk about the past and the past wrestling. And it's a lot of fun, and I really like doing it. And I promise you, we're way more entertaining than 90% of Monday Night Raw.
Damn right. I can
and
attest.
Also, sometimes it's nonsensical.
There's nothing wrong with that. I can attest to that as well. The nonsense is excellent. The show is excellent.
Yeah, Biff and Takers and Legends Lover, they're awesome. And I'm just along for the ride, and it was an honor to be asked, and it is an honor to do the show, and I really like doing it. So Indeed. I hope that y'all listen.
Indeed. And of course, you can also find Taker's Meaning along with our Los Ingobernables podcast brother, Mr. Dr. Senju, the two of our good brothers on Saturday mornings with Shooting Debris. 11 Eastern, 10 Central. Get your breakfast, get your graps. Listen to these intelligent men with their amazing takes, covering all aspects of WWE, New Japan, and all other promotions that they can find. And enjoy the hell out of their content because it is, again, quite excellent and well worth the time. Check them on out as well. And finally, last but absolutely not least, our good brother Don Sal with Match Fixing over at Cedar Bridge Media, delivering all the greatest takes on all aspects of wrestling as well. Don Sal, incredibly intelligent, well-versed, well-spoken, a good brother in every sense. Go and check him out at Kusmano_Sal on Twitter, and also follow Cedar Bridge Media at Cedar_Bridge for all the information about match fixing. You can follow us on Twitter as well at 2guys1sport, number 1 in the handle, to get all the information about the show, all the people that we love promoting, and any updates about the schedule and all those other great and wonderful things. You can also follow us on our personal Twitter pages as well, at @Savas and at CrazyChris576. We love to talk with you guys about all sorts of things, not just wrestling, but also other professional sports, video games, current events, all sorts of different things. We are down to talk about.
We spray it all fields.
As long as you guys are intelligent and well-spoken and don't act like dipshits.
Yeah,
that is the easiest and most concise description I can give to what I want out of my Twitter interactions.
Yeah, that's it. Don't be a dick, guys. Come on.
Yeah, it's easy. Follow us on iTunes as well. Follow the link below the video in the description to go and check out our iTunes page. Give us a rating, give us a recommendation, subscribe and listen, and of course, bring all of your wrestling friends back here Thursday nights, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, to talk with us about the wrestling and to have good conversations and get good information, because we love having you guys in the chat. You make the show worth doing, and it's awesome to have you all here. And of course, if you are looking for any non-wrestling related content, you can go on over to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/crazychris576. Catch me streaming all your favorite video games Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. We are almost done with Fallout New Vegas. Hopefully tomorrow night's stream, I will not have any of the technical issues that I had last night. 1 power outage, 2 disconnects, and Quality Options decided to take a permanent vacation. So
Partridge in a pear tree optional.
Yeah. Last night's stream did not end well for me, but I had to stop after like an hour. But suffice to say, hopefully tomorrow night will be better. And if you are able to be there, I hope that you will be there, because it's going to be a fun one. 2 significant dates to note regarding the stream. This coming Monday, September 17th, we will be making our grand return to Borderlands 2. So if you are interested in seeing the Borderlands content returning to the channel, please be sure to be there this coming Monday for that. And Saturday, October 6th, I will mention this again as the date approaches, but Saturday, October 6th will be the celebration of my 1-year streamiversary, 1 year of streaming on Twitch. I am excited to celebrate. It's going to be at the bare minimum a 12-hour stream, if not longer. There's going to be contests. There's going to be giveaways. There's going to be all sorts of fun stuff. I might even make a speech. You never know. So if you can be there Saturday, October 6th, I hope that you can, to celebrate with me 1 year of streaming on Twitch. Again, twitch.tv/crazychris576. Thank you very much for the support over there as well as here. And that is going to do it for us. Can you think of anything else, my friend?
Let's see. You plugged me and you and your Twitch and my show and Sal and Suplexes and Shea Butter. And you plugged
all the good brothers.
All the good brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Taker's Minion. Yeah. You told people not to be a dick. I always approve, as you know.
Yep.
We're not here in 2 weeks. Don't forget.
Yes. Again,
we are off in 2 weeks.
We are not here.
We are here next week.
Yeah. So make sure you're here next week to get your fix. And
Metal Matt show. Did you plug that?
No, actually, I did not.
Metal Matt does a Ruthless Aggression podcast Friday nights. 7 o'clock my time, 8 o'clock your time. They go from about 2002 to about 2009 or 10. This Friday, they're doing Survivor Series 2003, a underrated gem that I would recommend that y'all check out. That's Metal Matt's podcast.
Nice. I love it.
So,
thank you for catching that one. I would have missed it otherwise.
No problem.
All right. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, a sincere thank you for spending your Thursday evening with us, or Friday, or whenever you listen. Mm-hmm. If you haven't yet, give us a little thumbs up on the YouTube video. Click the subscribe button on the YouTube video. Channel your inner Dave. Give us 5 stars on iTunes. We love y'all. Thank you for spending your weekend with us. Thank you for not being a dick to each other. Be good to each other. Be kind to each other. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Right, Chris? Yes.
Don't work yourself into a shoot. Stay safe if you're in the Carolinas. That's Chris. I'm George. You're listening to Two Guys, One Sport.
Episode 74 is in the books.